So if you're looking to make 10K per month as a sales rep, then pay close attention because I'm giving away the exact schedule that I use to hit that first 10K month. So why this is super important is when I actually got this down, it created so much predictability, it created so much more consistency, and I was able to get very efficient in my time and energy as a sales rep. Now, here's the biggest thing that I want us to keep top of mind as we're going through this, which is this schedule worked for me. Everyone's schedule is going to be a little bit different, but ideally, I want you to create an actual schedule that aligns with your energy rhythms, your circadian rhythm, and most importantly, what your specific offer you're selling in, right? So, back when I was actually a full time sales rep as a closer, I would always start my day at about 7 a.m., right? I would wake up, brush my teeth, go through my morning routine at about 7 a.m. Now, why I chose 7 a.m. is I actually did something really interesting, which is I took a sleep chronotype test. So, if you don't know what that is, a sleep chronotype test, kind of similar to a personality test, just gives you data and insight into what type of sleeper you are, right? I am what you call a bear, which is a person who generally wakes up around 7 a.m., sleeps around 11 p.m., and their highest productivity of energy is around 10 to 2 o'clock, right? So, knowing that, I actually engineered my whole schedule around this concept. So, if you're someone who wants to actually perfect or design an ideal daily schedule, I actually invite you to take this test because it helped me map out everything around this idea. How do I start my day? How do I end my day? From there, I put everything else together. So once I actually woke up at my ideal time, I would actually start going to a little bit of a morning routine. So I call this my morning energy ritual. I go into a little bit of meditation. I go into a little bit of prayer. I wouldn't go and start scrolling my phone, right? Like the worst thing that you can do is start scrolling your phone as soon as you start your day because you're just actually raising cortisol and not allowing your mind to stay at that nice, like alpha or some sort of prayer or just relaxing and easing into the day. My mind is not fighting cortisol. So that's a really important thing for you to understand is like, how do I just eliminate distraction and almost allow the easing into the day, right? From there, once I actually did some sort of meditation, it'd be around like 8:30 a.m. And I'd be doing some sort of like morning coffee, reading, some sort of study. So I at around 8 a.m. is what I call study time. And it's really important for me to at least have 30 minutes to an hour of study time each day because it allows your mind to start getting in gear. So as a salesperson, as a business owner, you are paid in your level of communication with people, right? Whether that's in the written word or via Zoom or on a phone call, your level of communication dictates your level of income. So, what is one of the best ways to up-level your communication before the day gets started is actually to feed it great inputs through either a book, a course, or some sort of educational YouTube training like this. So, this is one of my non-negotiables. If I don't go through my study time in the morning, right? If I don't read my book, if I'm not like giving my mind good inputs, right? Instead of like social media, I'm giving it a nice book. I actually start my day slower if I don't do this. I've actually tracked this. I've held myself accountable to this. I reflect when I don't do this. And this is like my gasoline for my car at the beginning of the day. So I always recommend you guys doing some sort of study time between 8 to 9 or around like an hour after you've woken up, right? From there, I had a daily huddle at about 9 to 9:30 a.m. each day. So if you have a team meeting or if you don't have a team meeting, whatever that first huddle is going to be, have that ready. It's just kind of that non-negotiable for people who are part of sales teams, right? I then would go into a quick energy reset. So anywhere from 9:30 to 10, depending on when the huddle ends, I would then go on a quick walk around my block. I want to get the blood flowing before my first call because I want my mind and my body to start getting in sync. So I'm not a person who does morning workouts. If you are a morning person, you could do that during this time, but I personally am not a morning workout person. I actually will tell you later on when I do it. But the biggest thing for me is I at least want to get the body moving, get some sunlight, walk, get the blood flowing, and allows me to enter my first sales call with that top of mind. So generally, because again, I am a bear chronotype, my biggest productivity is between 10 to 2 p.m. I want to be taking my majority of sales calls during that block period, right? The biggest mistake that I see when I was training for my own closing experience is I try to force myself to take sales calls during time blocks and time periods where my energy was low just because I wanted more volume. Truth is, if you're taking sales calls when you're at 50 to 60% energy capacity, you're only going to be literally at half your potential. So I'd rather like front load all my calls when I have the highest energy. If it's for you earlier in the morning, if it's for you late in the day, whatever it might be, that's what you want to be doing. So with that being said, I want to make sure that that 10 to 2 is not something that you just do because I do it. I want you to really ask yourself, when are those 2 to 4 hours of highest peak energy? And that is when I'm actually blocking out my sales production, right? So generally from 10 to 2, I'd have about 4 sales calls booked. 3 of them would show. I had maybe an hour where if someone doesn't show, I'm just doing follow up. I'm responding back to messages. Maybe I'm doing some other sales related tasks. That's the key during that. Then once the mid afternoon started hitting, that's when I would start to have a slump in energy, right? So I always planned my lunch during these slump of energies because to me, I used to make the mistake of like, oh, I'm going to do a lunch at 12 p.m. Guess what? 12 to 1 p.m., I'm still in prime energy and productivity mode. I don't want to be spending all this energy eating when I should be doing it in sales production. So if you fix that one thing, you're actually going to that's a one hack that I didn't even realize that was actually a hack, was just making sure your lunchtime is when you're actually starting to go from peak to a slump in your energy. So 2 to 3 p.m., I'd have my lunch. I have a little bit of a slump. So I'd try to walk it out. And maybe, that's when I allow myself to check my phone or respond back to my personal messages. And then from 3 to 4, I'd be doing like lower, like IQ type tasks. And what I mean by that is usually like admin or follow up that didn't really take that much energy. Because here's the truth. After lunch, it might be a little bit slower. 3 to 4, I'm still getting my energy back. So I don't want to be taking another sales call right away necessarily. I want to be in some sort of production. Maybe I'm responding back to my team, responding back to some emails, some lower IQ, not high energy, high intellectual capacity needed type of situations, right? So generally 3 to 4 would be, just admin email. And then anywhere from 4 to 5 or 4 to 6 would be another last batch of sales calls. Now I say 4 to 5 to 4 to 6 because depending on the actual week, if I needed to take more sales calls because I was off, off pacing or off projection of quota, or if I needed to take less sales calls because I was already ahead, that's how I determine my general daily schedule. But around 5 or 6 after the last batch of sales calls is when I'm wrapping up the day. So I call that end of day admin. And instead of what most people will do is they try to do admin all throughout the day, which to be honest, just switches context and gets you out of sales flow. I actually put admin at the very end of the day. So updating my CRM, updating any notes, getting back to my team, maybe doing some last minute follow-up and emails. I try to batch that the last 30 to 60 minutes of the day when I'm lowest energy and it's most not needed for me to be like on, right? Quote unquote on in terms of my intellect. So with that being said, I will generally wrap the day around 6 o'clock, 6:30, right? On an earlier day, 5:30, and then I will go straight into a workout. I like doing my workouts after work because I actually create a second wind in my energy when I do this. So some people, like I said, are morning workout people and they want that energy entering to the day. I actually am opposite. I like using workouts as a tool to de-stress, decompress, and almost revitalize my energy for the second half of the day. Like I want to be present for my friends. I want to be present for when I'm like, going out to maybe like a dinner with my friends or maybe just for myself. Like I just want to feel good after work. I don't want to be in a huge stress ball that's like, carrying on all that energy from the calls before. It is a nice reset in energy because when you are working out or at least getting the body moving or doing breath work after work, what ends up happening is you allow your neurochemistry to go back to baseline to remove that cortisol. So that being said, once I've done the workout, now I'm getting ready for a little bit of maybe a 30-minute rest on my phone again. Like I'm not super like strict about not being on my phone all the time. Like I allow myself to be on the phone. And then generally around 7:30 is when I'm going to get some actual dinner inside my stomach, right? So I'll cook dinner, or now I don't cook as much dinner. I actually just get like these meals delivered. But if you're someone who's like trying to save time, get meals delivered. If you're someone who's trying to like save a little cost, cook some dinner, whatever it might be, right? But I generally like to do that 7 to 8, about 2 to 3 hours before I go to bed, so I can properly digest it, and that my HRV or my blood flow getting into bed isn't like super high because I'm jacking up that insulin. So 7 to 8 p.m. is generally when I have dinner. I'll either be having it with my roommate back then, or I'll be like maybe watching some YouTube videos, whatever it might be. And then from there is kind of like what I call my R&R time, rest and recovery. So what's just as important with sales is not just production, but actually having blocked out dedicated time to rest. You are a sales athlete. You are someone who can't just be producing and hustling and grinding all the time. Like you could do that for a week or two, but if you want a long-term sustainable daily schedule, you need to have daily rest injected into that schedule as well. And so generally, this would be around from 8 to 9:30. It's about an hour and a half. I just let myself do whatever. I watch a YouTube video. Maybe I just chat with my friends. Maybe I'd go out and get some ice cream with homies. Maybe I go to the beach if I want to go at night. Back in San Diego, scroll my phone, whatever it might be. I give my permission to turn my brain off, to goof off a little bit, and have some fun, rest and recovery, right? That being said, after I had a little bit of rest and recovery, how I like to end my day was actually with a little bit of sales training. It's about 30 minutes of reading a sales book or going through a sales course or going through any sort of like educational stuff to get my mind to actually start to think about some things that I want to program it, right? The reason why this was really beneficial for me when I was a full-time closer was I was learning all these new sales tactics and sales strategies right before bed, so that when I went to bed, I allowed my subconscious mind to continue to marinate on those ideas. And it was wonderful, man. Like the biggest thing that I could tell you as a hack is go to bed thinking about the things that you want to improve upon. It literally, through neuroplasticity, allows your brain to accelerate that learning when you're learning before you go to bed, right? So that being said, I'd wrap up around 10:30, brush my teeth, maybe do a little bit of reflection, slow down, turn my phone off, put the alarm, right? I'd take it away from me and I would just go to bed, right? Around 10:30, 11. I'd go to probably be sleeping around 11 then. And then I'd start the day all over again at 7 a.m. So that was the key daily schedule from 7 a.m. up until 11 p.m. that allowed me to hit that 10K per month that first time around, and then consistently continue to grow that income as I leveled up in my career. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about sales strategies, energy rituals, any of the things that will help you evolve as a sales pro, then actually follow and subscribe this YouTube channel right here. But I also got an extra bonus for you if you are wanting to learn more of the sales sauce. I have a free sales course and sales community with close to 700 members already inside. It's actually in the link in the description below. So click on that link now, join us on the other side, and surround yourself with a virtual room of other badass sales pros. With that being said, that is the daily schedule that helped me accelerate to that sales pro that ended up closing 5.4 million in sales. I'll see you guys in the next training video. Sayonara.